Every day, there are millions of stories happening all around the world with varying degrees of impact and influence. Whether it's an accomplishment or an unexpected encounter, you are the author of your own story. Here, you can launch the next chapter in that story. This is Suinsunata Ratchapat University. Let me introduce the Faculty of Education. With courses aimed at enhancing educational personnel, this faculty will equip you for a career as a qualified teacher who delivers knowledge in a contemporary and effective way, as well as creates educational materials that are relevant and engaging. The Faculty of Sciences and Technology, preparing students for the continually evolving field of science and technology by providing practical experience with state-of-the-art tools and equipment to meet the ever-increasing demands of the technology sector. The Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, with competent personnel who can expand your expertise with a hands-on approach to accumulate the necessary exposure that will help you confidently excel in an international work environment. The Faculty of Engineering and Electrical Technology offers curriculum that builds essential skills in the field of electrical and engineering technology. Starting from design to simulation, students will be prepared to cope with the growing changes in our world. The Faculty of Fine and Applied Arts, desiring to excel in the area of music, dance, performance, or art creation and design. We are here to empower and develop your talents ready for a global spotlight. The Faculty of Management Science. Ignite your dream and boldly step into the professional world with extensive courses to assist you in starting your own business
and to give you the maximum skills needed
to reach your full potential. The Faculty of Law. We are committed to providing law education that develops students with comprehensive knowledge, skills, and expertise in accordance with professional law standards. We also emphasize research and development of high-quality academic innovations at both national and international levels, while fostering strong collaborative networks and delivering academic law services to promote sustainable benefits for society.
Suinsunata Ratchapat University also has 8 colleges. The College of Nursing and Health, knowledgeable in both theory and practice, this college equips future medical professionals with competence. The College of Architecture, training students with creative solutions to become leaders in architecture and design. The College of Allied Health Sciences, educating the next generation of experts in the field of health and medical science. The College of Innovation and Management, paving the way by building successful business pathways and motivating innovative ideas. The College of Logistics and Supply Chain, learning from experienced people the systems and procedures to maximize effort and efficiency. The College of Hospitality Industry Management, ensuring the future workforce in the tourism and hospitality industry is equipped to maintain international standards. The College of Communication Arts, specializing in instructing on diversified communication strategies for global setting. The College of Politics and Government, guiding and promoting ethical leadership development in society and governance. Suinsunata Ratchapat University has 4 campuses outside of Bangkok: Nakorn Pathom Campus, Samut Songkram Campus, Ranong Education Center,
and Udon Thani Education Center. We are ready to welcome you as part of our family. All campuses, colleges, and faculties are eagerly awaiting your arrival. We are prepared to care for you each step of the way in your journey to your dream profession. In addition, we also aspire to sustain and develop as the center of arts, culture, and preservation, maintaining our unique and valuable identity as the #1 university in the Ratchapat University Group. Suinsunata Ratchapat University.
สวัสดีท่านผู้บริหารอาจารย์และนักวิจัยทุกท่านขอต้อนรับเข้าสู่การประชุมวิชาการระดับชาติและนานาชาติครั้งที่ 21 ผมนายวราพงษ์ท่าขนุนทำหน้าที่เป็นพิธีกรเปิดพิธีการประชุมในวันนี้ครับ
Good morning, distinguished executive, professor, and researcher. Welcome to the 21st National and International Academic Conference under the theme Innovation and Integration of Multidisciplinary Knowledge for Sustainable Social Development. My name is Assistant Professor Dr. Sasiporn Phongphearnpit, and I will be your host for today's opening ceremony.
สำหรับงานวันนี้เป็นการประชุมวิชาการระดับชาติและระดับนานาชาติโดยเข้าร่วมแบบออนไลน์ผ่านซูมขอขอบคุณทุกท่านที่สละเวลาเข้าร่วมงานครั้งนี้ครับระหว่างนี้ขอแจ้งกำหนดการดังนี้
For today's event, this is a national and international academic conference conducted online via Zoom. We would like to express our sincere appreciation to all participants for taking the time to join us. In the meantime, please allow me to announce the schedule as follows.
เวลา 8:50 น.ถึง 9:00 น.ลงทะเบียนเข้าร่วมงาน
From 8:50 to 9 a.m. registration.
เวลา 9:10 น.ถึง 9:30 น.บรรยายพิเศษโดยดร. Cheah Sau Seng จากมหาวิทยาลัย Universiti Sains Malaysia.
From 9:10 to 9:30 a.m. special lecture delivered by Dr. Cheah Sau Seng from Universiti Sains Malaysia from Malaysia.
10:30 น.ถึง 15:00 น.เป็นการนำเสนอผลงานวิจัยโดยแบ่งกลุ่มย่อยแบ่งเป็นระดับนานาชาติ 4 กลุ่มย่อยและระดับชาติ 5 กลุ่มย่อย
From 10:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. research presentation sessions, parallel sessions comprising 4 international sessions and 5 national sessions.
ลำดับต่อไปบัณฑิตวิทยาลัยมหาวิทยาลัยราชภัฏสวนสุนันทาขอขอบคุณเจ้าภาพร่วมในการจัดโครงการประชุมวิชาการดังนี้เจ้าภาพร่วมระดับชาติได้แก่คณะวิทยาศาสตร์และเทคโนโลยีมหาวิทยาลัยราชภัฏสวนสุนันทา
National co-host including Faculty of Science and Technology สวนสุนันทาราชภัฏ University
มหาวิทยาลัยรัตนบัณฑิต
รัตนบัณฑิต University
คณะครุศาสตร์มหาวิทยาลัยราชภัฏสุราษฎร์ธานี
Faculty of Education สุราษฎร์ธานีราชภัฏ University
สมาคมนักวิจัยแห่งประเทศไทย
The Association of Researchers of Thailand International co-host including Graduate School of Business University Sains Malaysia from Malaysia Guangxi University of Chinese Medicine from China Ho Chi Minh City Open University from Vietnam and Inner Mongolia Medical University from China
ลำดับต่อไปขอเรียนเชิญดร. Cheah Sau Seng จากมหาวิทยาลัย Universiti Sains Malaysia ประเทศมาเลเซียขึ้นกล่าวบรรยายครับ
Now we are pleased to invite Dr. Cheah Sau Seng from Universiti Sains Malaysia from Malaysia to deliver the first keynote speech.
Good day to everyone. Thank you to Swan Sunanda Rajabat University for the kind invitation. And warm greetings to all participants of the 21st International Conference. My keynote today is titled Social Entrepreneurship in Asia, Bridging Academics and Impact. I want to do three things. First, I will briefly frame the problem context, what conventional single-sector approaches are struggling in an era of climate stress and widening inequality. Second, I will offer a practical way to define and design credible social enterprises, including a boundary test that help us avoid mislabeling. Third, I will end with two Asian cases and a short research to practice bridge, what scholars can study that practitioners can actually operationalize it. So before we go into the content, let me briefly introduce myself and where I sit in this ecosystem. I am Jeffrey Cheah from Universiti Sains Malaysia. In my current roles, I serve as a senior lecturer and program manager at Graduate School of Business, and I always contribute, and I also contribute to the field as an associate editor for Social Enterprise Journal and other regional outlets. I engage the ecosystem from three angles: research, teaching, and applied industry work. On the practice side, I spent more than a decade in corporate consulting and training, which shaped my bias towards operational clarity. On the academic side, my work focuses on social entrepreneurship, social innovation, and impact management. Now, let's move on. We are operating in what I call an age of contradiction. On one side, climate volatility is intensifying, extreme weather events are more frequent and more costly to livelihood. On the other side, inequality is widening. Access to essentials like health, education, finance, and clean energy remain uneven. The contradiction is this: we have more technology and more capital than ever, yet the distribution of protection and opportunity is increasingly fragile. And this is actually where single sector solutions struggle. Public systems face budget constraints and political cycles. Private markets optimize for growth and efficiency, but often select customers and regions that fit profitability. Meanwhile, disadvantaged groups carry higher perceived risk and are excluded, sometimes unintentionally, but often by design. This is why hybrid models, mission plus market, are rising across Asia. They are not perfect, but they attempt to align incentives so that solving a social problem becomes operationally sustainable. So let's move on. This slide summarizes the responsibility gap created when incentives diverge. Public sectors are designed for majority outcomes, stability, redistribution, and legitimacy, but constrained by budget and administrative capacity. Private sectors prioritize shareholder value, cost efficiency, growth, and market selection, so they naturally focus where profit or margins are predictable. Where does the leave disadvantaged groups? They often face access and affordability gaps, and they are labeled as high risk due to unstable income, lack of collateral, limited documentation, or remote location. The result is exclusion, but that can be systematic, embedded in product design, distribution channel, and credit rules. This is the implementation gap. Underserved needs persist because objectives are not aligned. Social enterprises attempt to close that gap by redesigning incentives so that serving the underserved is not charity, but a viable operating logic supported by governance, revenue, discipline, and reinvestment rules. If that is the gap, then the next question is, how do social enterprises scale beyond isolated pilots? They scale through ecosystem. The key message here is simple. Individual ventures scale when ecosystem rules reinforce each other. Social entrepreneurship is the engine at the center. It needs four reinforcing functions around it. First, effective social services, often linked to public service system, create legitimacy, referrals, standard, and sometimes core delivery. Second, proactive CSR and partnership, such as corporates, NGOs, foundations that can bring supply chains, distributions, technology, and core investment. Third, self-sustaining models. They need reliable revenue, unit economics, and operational discipline to ensure the venture can survive beyond grants and pilot funding. And fourth, knowledge dissemination, where university and research community translate evidence into training, playbooks, and credible measurement. When these rules align, scaling becomes less about heroic founders and more about repeatable system. This is also where definitions matter. When we label everything as social enterprise, we blur who deserves which types of policy and finance support. So let's tighten the definition. Where does social enterprise sit on the organizational spectrum? This spectrum is very helpful because it forces a practical questions. What rules govern mission, revenue, and profit allocation? On the left, traditional charities are mainly driven by social value and rely heavily on donations, grants, or endowments. On the right, traditional businesses are mainly driven by financial value and distribute profit to owner and investor. Social enterprises sit in the hybrid zone. They pursue measurable social impact alongside financial sustainability. Importantly, hybridity is not a slogan, it is governance and operating rules. A credible social enterprise does not merely do good. It structures decision making so that the mission is protected when trade-offs arise. This also connects the impact investing. Investors may accept blended returns, but they require clarity on what impact is intended and how it is measured and how mission drift is prevented. So the spectrum set up the next slide, a practical minimum design definition. To avoid confusions, I use 3 minimum design criteria that a credible social enterprise should satisfy. Here is a practical definition I use with students, founders, and policymakers. A credible social or sustainable enterprise typically satisfies all 3 criteria. First, mission primacy. That is a clear social or environmental mission and decision rules aligned to it, especially when profit and impact conflict. Second, a viable revenue model. The organization is designed to be self-sustaining with discipline around unit economics, pricing, and delivery costs. Third, reinvestment discipline. The majority of surplus is directed back to the mission and governance mechanisms exist to prevent mission drift. These three criteria protect credibility. If you only have mission, you might be a charity, which is valuable but different. If you only have revenue, you may create positive externality, but the impact is not guaranteed. The design implication is critical. Viability protects impact, mission lock-in protects credibility. To keep the ecosystem efficient, we need a boundary test. This boundary test matters because many organizations create positive externality, but that does not make them social enterprises. Impact can be accidental. Social enterprise impact is intentional and designed. Take Tesla as an example. You can argue it accelerates clean transport with positive externality, but if we apply the three criteria, mission primacy is not clear in governance. The revenue model is certainly viable, but reinvestment discipline is not mission lock because surplus distribute follows shareholders' logic. So it is a for-profit with positive externality, if you may, but not a social enterprise by design. A second illustrative case is Capital A, or you can call it A Asia. Affordable access can be socially valuable, but again, mission primacy is not structurally primary. The business model is viable and reinvestment is not mission lock. Therefore, it may deliver accessibility, but it is not a social enterprise under the minimum design criteria. So to balance the picture, let's also test mission first institutions. Now consider mission first institutions like the World Wildlife Fund, WWF, and United Nations Organization. Their mission primacy is clearly yes. They exist to serve public good outcome. But when we apply the other criteria, viable revenue models are typically no in the business sense because funding relies mainly on donation, grant, and state contribution rather than self-sustaining unit economics. Reinvestment discipline is also not applicable in the shareholders' sense because they are not designed to distribute profit. The conclusion is important. These are highly valuable institutions with significant positive externality, of course, but they are not social enterprises under a practical design definition. Why does this matter? Because policy and finance support should be allocated appropriately. A grant-dependent NGO may need different capacity building and accountability tools than a revenue-generating social enterprise. So if we collapse everything into one label, we design the wrong incentives and misalign funding instrument. Okay, with the definition and boundary clear, now let's move on to an Asian case where impact is engineered directly into the business model. Grameen Bank. Grameen Bank addresses a classic development problem, financial exclusion among the poor, especially rural women, who are often locked out of formal credit due to lack of collateral and documentation. The innovation is not simply microcredit, it is the design of microcredit. The business model is collateral-free lending delivered through group-based mechanism. So borrowers form small groups and the system uses social accountability, peer support, and peer monitoring to reduce default risk. Operationally, Grameen relies on standardized loan product, frequent repayment cycle, and close field level engagement. These features reduce transaction costs and improve repayment discipline, which is essential for financial sustainability at scale. The key takeaway is that impact is not added later as philanthropic or CSR. It is embedded in lending design, delivery mechanism, and governance rules. A second case from India shows the same engineered impact principle in healthcare, Aravind Eye Care System. Aravind Eye Care System tackles a different social problem, delivering affordable high-quality eye care at scale. The genius is a cross-subsidized model paired with operational excellence, paying patients finance-free or subsidized care for those who cannot afford it. So pricing becomes a mechanism of inclusion rather than exclusion. But cross-subsidized alone is not enough. Aravind operationalized skill through high volume, standardized processes that reduce unit costs while maintaining quality. In other words, they treat healthcare delivery like a well-designed operating system, consistent processes, disciplined throughput, and continuous efficiency improvement. The result is a reinforcing loop. Paying patients generates in revenue and surplus funds subsidized care. Subsidized care expands reach, and higher volume further reduce cost per treatment. Again, the takeover mirrors Grameen. Impact is engineered into pricing, process, governance, not added later as CSR. These cases are inspiring, but they are also a hard truth. Most impact-first ventures fail for operational reason, not mission reason. This slide states the uncomfortable constraint. Financial resilience is not optional. It's not optional. Most impact-first ventures do not fail because their mission is wrong. They fail because operations break under cash, capability, or credibility pressure. First, cash runaway. Revenue is unstable and many ventures do not have fit-to-purpose finance, meaning capital that match their risk profile and growth timeline. Second, capabilities. Planning and pricing disciplines sound basic, but they are often the missing link, especially in hybrid model where costs are higher and customer ability to pay is lower. Execution and adaptations also matter. Operating in underserved contexts require continuous redesign, not one-time strategy. Third, measurement and trust. Governance signals a credible impact reporting affect whether partners, their funders and customers believe the mission will remain intact. So the operating principle is simple. Sustainability enables impact, design for resilience, early unit economics, governance and funding fit, because resilience is what keeps the mission alive long enough to compound impact. So if resilience is the constraint, then what can ecosystems do? Interventions usually cluster into 4 practical levers. First, policy and regulation. Clear definition and appropriate incentives and enabling legal frameworks so social enterprises can register, contract, and report without ambiguity. Second, finance and procurement. Patient or blended finance and mission-aligned procurement. Procurement is often overlooked, but it is one of the fastest ways to create predictable demand for impact-oriented provider. Third, capability and talent. Training, mentoring, and professionalizations of operations help social enterprises build planning, pricing, and deliver discipline. Fourth, measurement and trust. Credible impact reporting, governance signals, and assurance mechanisms that reduce information asymmetry between the ventures and funders. When these four levers work together, we reduce the failure rate of impact-first ventures by fixing the system, not blaming the funders. This is also where research plays a decisive role by explaining mechanism, not just correlation. Here is my preferred bridge between research and practice. Mechanism pathways. Instead of asking whether a variable correlates with impact, we ask how impact happens. This slide summarizes one such pathway. Research influences planning capability. Planning capability drives performance, and performance enables impact. Practically, I see three research streams that translate well. Stream 1 examines how resources and capability become performance through planning discipline, budgeting, pricing, unit economics, and execution routines. Stream 2 focuses on strategic orientation, how entrepreneurial, social, and causation logics shape outcomes, especially under uncertainty. Stream 3 studies university, industry, community collaborations, how transdisciplinary partnership create scalable models rather than isolated projects. The practical outputs should be concrete, diagnostics that help ventures identify weak links, design disciplines for mission lock model, minimum viable metrics that are not overly burdensome, and partnership playbooks that clarify rules, incentives, and accountability. That is how academic work becomes usable infrastructure. I will close with three takeaways. First, embedded SDGs into the business model, not as CSR afterthoughts. When mission sits in product design, pricing, and delivery, impact becomes repeatable and defensible. Second, treat financial resilience as a prerequisite for sustained impact. If we ignore unit economics, governance, and fit-for-profit finance, we unintentionally design fragile ventures, no matter how noble the mission is. Third, do mechanism-based research that practitioners can operationalize it. Our field advances faster when we produce tools, not only theories. Diagnostics, minimum viable metrics, and partnership playbooks that reduce trial and error for funders and founders. If you remember one sentence, let it be this: social entrepreneurship is not doing good. It is designing organization where solving a social problem remains viable, governed, and scalable over time. Thank you for your time and for staying with me. If I summarize in one line, Asia's social entrepreneurship momentum will accelerate when we align incentive through mission-locked design, protect viability through resilience, and strengthen ecosystem through credible research and partnership. I appreciate SSRU and the conference organizer for hosting this hybrid platform, and I appreciate the participants for contributing to this cross-country conversation. If you would like to contact me after the sessions, whether on research collaboration, teaching materials, or ecosystem project, please feel free to reach me by email. With that, thank you so much, and I look forward to your questions. Bye bye.
จบไปแล้วสำหรับการบรรยายในวันนี้ลำดับต่อไปขอเรียนเชิญผู้เข้าร่วมทุกท่านเข้าร่วมห้องนำเสนอผลงานตามกำหนดการที่ได้รับจากอีเมลโดยรายละเอียดห้องย่อยสามารถดูได้จากแชทหรือเอกสารกำหนดการซึ่งจะแบ่งเป็นห้องย่อยระดับนานาชาติและห้องย่อยระดับชาติ
That includes today's keynote presentation. We now invite all participants to join the breakout session according to the schedule you have received via email. Details of each breakout room can also be found in the chat and on the program document. These rooms are divided into international and national presentation sessions.
ก่อนที่ทุกท่านจะเข้าร่วมห้องย่อยเพื่อนำเสนอผลงานวิจัยทางบัณฑิตวิทยาลัยมหาวิทยาลัยราชภัฏสวนสุนันทาขอขอบพระคุณผู้เข้าร่วมทุกท่านที่ให้เกียรติมาร่วมงานในวันนี้ขอให้ทุกท่านประสบความสำเร็จและได้รับความรู้จากงานประชุมครั้งนี้และหวังเป็นอย่างยิ่งว่าจะได้พบกันใหม่ในโอกาสถัดไปเรียนเชิญผู้เข้าร่วมทุกท่านเข้าร่วมห้องนำเสนอผลงานตรงเมนู Breakout Room ได้เลยครับ
Before moving on to the breakout rooms, the Graduate School of Sunsunanta Ratchapat University would like to sincerely thank all participants for joining us today. We hope you gain valuable knowledge and inspiration from this conference, and we look forward to welcoming you all in the near future. Please proceed to your assigned breakout room by selecting the breakout room menu. Thank you very much.